It has been a week now since we sat spellbound while O.J. Simpson led police on a chase before finally surrendering. We have seen him plead not guilty while a grand jury decides whether to indict him. And we have heard an anguish 911 call from his ex-wife that graphically depicts their troubled lives. Joining us this morning from Los Angeles, reporter Harvey Levin of KCBS TV, and here in New York, columnist Bob Herbert of the New York Times. Good morning. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining us. So Harvey, I know that you have spent a lot of time covering this case. You have some pretty solid police contacts. What are they telling you about any new evidence that it might be made public at some point?
Well, yesterday I talked to people connected with the case who said that prosecutors and police are banking on blood in the Ford Bronco to cement their case. And there's a reason for this. The people I have spoken with who have seen the pictures at the crime scene say there was so much blood that the blood of the murderer and the two victims mixed together. This is common at a crime scene. And in terms of pinpointing the murderer, it's hard to do because of that. They feel that the blood in the Bronco, their position is that they will find O.J. Simpson's pristine blood in the Bronco, and that is even more important to them than at the crime scene in establishing the case. Something interesting, the police officer I spoke with yesterday who has seen the crime scene pictures says, based on his evaluation, and he's had many, many years' experience, he thinks it is absolutely certain the murderer was soaked in blood because of the way the crime scene was laid out.
Which would lead you to believe that finding the clothing that the alleged murderer was wearing would be critical to the prosecution's case?
Absolutely, Paula, and I think that information can be used by both the prosecution and the defense depending on what else people find in investigating the case. So I think you're going to find that the layout of the crime scene and the forensics obviously are going to play a big, big part of this case.
One thing that has gotten a lot of attention are the 911 tapes that were released that people have really spent a lot of time listening to. And on the heels of that, you had the district attorney coming out yesterday saying there will be no leaks of this kind of information because it might prevent O.J. Simpson from having a fair trial. Did Gil Garcetti react to the heat he was getting for simply allowing too much of this kind of information to be released?
Well, let me tell you what I'm hearing inside that office and what I think is really going on. We have had a history in LA over the last 3 years of having cases that appear to be slam dunks lost by the prosecution. And there is a sentiment in legal circles in this town that the problem in these high-profile cases, Rodney King, the Damian Williams case, and so on, that there's a feeling that the DA kind of overplays his hand, that they make people feel the case is so strong, that there is such insurmountable evidence that the expectation level of prospective jurors is so high that even if the case is solid at trial, there's a letdown. And people don't feel that the case was proved because there was so much hype in the media. And I think that's one of the big reasons why Gil Garcetti is backing off, that he has to keep coming out and saying it's a strong case, it's a solid case, and I think they're worried about that disappointment, and it's gotten out of his hands. It's gotten out of control. He thought he could control it, and he just couldn't.
Bob, let's move on to what you have been talking about in your column, and that is the portrayal of O.J. Simpson as a fallen hero. We saw how people reacted when he gave chase to the LA Police Department. We saw signs posted up out of his house, one sign at least posted outside his home that said, "Hit her again." Do you see any of that reaction changing?
Not to a great extent. I think O.J.'s image was hurt by the release of the tapes, but there's still an awful lot of people who just don't want to believe that he did this. And one of the things that I pointed out was that there is such a difference between the reality of a horrible crime like this. I mean, where two people, their throats were cut. As Harvey was pointing out, there's blood all over the place. I mean, a murder is really a hideous event. But when we watch these developments on television, see it through the media, we're distanced. We're at a safe psychological distance, and there's almost an entertainment value to the story, and I've been cautioning against that happening.
You also talk a little bit about how you feel that Americans get caught up in this whole celebrity craze and don't create enough distance where we step back and say, wait a minute, we're forgetting about the victims here.
Yeah, television
and
creates...
You tell us to get us grip, basically, in your column.
Television creates what Jonathan Alter called a false intimacy, so that we see celebrities and we think we know them personally, and we think we know how they are and what their psychological profile is like. And so for somebody like O.J., we are presented with this really charismatic figure, very nice guy, sweet personality, tremendously talented, and we think that's who O.J. is. But whoever you see on television or through the media is not really the entire complex person.
And based on the public reaction you've seen so far, how difficult do you think it is to find a jury who may be privy to some of this information but will come to the jury room with an unprejudiced view of this case?
I think it's going to be difficult. I think hardly anyone is going to come to the jury room with an unprejudiced view in the beginning. I think it will be possible to find people who will take the effort seriously and who will try to bring justice to the courtroom, but I think it's going to be tough with this wellspring of information.
Bob Herbert, thank you so much for joining us. Harvey Levin as well. Nice to see you again.